One of the best things about getting published pretty young was that I got to dedicate myself to what I love to do just a few years after high school. The bad thing about getting published really young is I sucked. I sucked. I didn't know what I was doing. Sometimes I look at my first volume of my published series, Sacred, that I love oh so very freaking much. I worked so hard on it. Sometimes I look at it and I go, man, if I could draw this now, this part would look better. If I wrote this now, the dialogue would sound more like this. Like, I think that as we grow, you know, we live more life, our storytelling styles improve, our art improves, and do you know there are just some things that you just know you could have done better. And so I decided I'm gonna go through every page, all 224 pages of my first volume, and I'm going to redraw every page and every panel that has been taunting me, teasing me, screaming at me, and poking me with their dirty little fingers saying, ha 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 ha, all your new readers who read your first volume, I'm gonna be what they see. This badly drawn panel, I'm gonna be what they see. Not today, okay? We're gonna fix that. No more beach. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how I planned out and drew out a bunch of new pages for the extended edition of volume 1 of my series, and I'm also going to completely redraw and ink this page from volume 1. This page used to be my pride and joy, and now she is my nightmare. But okay, maybe a little dramatic. I still love the page, but I do look at the page and I think to myself, I know I was able to draw my character back then, okay? I was able to draw Cicero, but for some reason, he came out looking not so much like himself. I just feel like it's time. I want to redraw a bunch of the first 2 chapters, add a new intro, because honestly, my storytelling style has really changed in a way that I know that if I wrote it now, that intro would be better. The intro would be different. The artwork would definitely be improved. I want to be 100% proud of this volume. I want to make sure that all of you who are going to give my story a chance in the near future, I want you guys to get like the full experience in my current style. And for all of my longtime readers, I'm really hoping it's going to be a lot of fun to be able to see all the new touches and the new bits of story. It's still the same story, but I definitely feel like now it's like elevated. It's got a little glow up. It's looking fancy. We got more artwork, more detail. Oh, girl, she's gonna be tasty. I'm telling you. I'm so excited. Please forgive me. Subscribe. Please subscribe. Anyways, so guys, that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm at a point where I think I can finally tackle this behemoth of a project that took me almost 1 full year. So I hope you guys will enjoy this video. And without further ado, let's get started. Step 1, tracing the original page to maintain the overall page composition. I don't really want to change the page all that much. I really just want to focus on improving the line quality, the anatomy, and of course, the overall look of his face. I want him to look more like he does later in the series. Like, for comparison, here's his face in volume 4 versus volume 1. Girl, what is happening? What is going on? That is doo-doo, okay? I still love the page, okay? It's okay if I drag it a little bit. I'm gonna tape this page to my light pad. This is an item that you guys might remember from a very old review video. This brand here, Huyan, actually sent this to me as a little gift, and it is still going strong. What, 4, 5 years later? It's one of the biggest light pads I have ever used, ever seen. It's the only one I've ever touch that's actually big enough to hold my manga pages. Girl, so that you understand how big my manga pages are, they are about, if I'm not mistaken, about 13 by 10 by 15 inches. There's some type of big old number like that. But the light pad holds it so perfectly. It's fantastic. I tape it on with some masking tape, which is what you would typically use on like your walls when you're gonna paint. I like to use this kind of tape because it won't tear my paper. And I go for the green masking tape because that one's supposed to be delicate, which means its adhesive is even softer than like the usual masking tape, which is already delicate as it is, but we want even more delicate. We want more delicate with our tape, okay? So I'm gonna tape that to the light pad, and then on top of that, a blank piece of paper where I'm going to trace the page and fix it up. So at this point, I already know what little areas I want to fix up, but first things first, I just want to draw the overall shape of the face, the little guidelines on the face, just to make sure that all the features are in the right spot, because I know that there's something odd about the face. I can't put my finger on it, okay? My little finger's going, I don't know where to go. There's something wrong, I don't know what it is. So, well, we're not really sure what's wrong with the face or the anatomy or the body. Go in and go step by step through the guidelines, and that should help you pinpoint what's actually wrong. So the features were in kind of wonky spots, and the hand was also really big. One of his fingers were too long. I don't know how that happened, but you know what? We're fixing it today, okay? Of course, I take a lot of time really sketching in there, getting the little details. And of course, I go in with my kneaded eraser here and there to start cleaning it up and carving out the shapes and getting rid of some of the sketchy lines that might make it a little harder for me to see what lines I actually want to keep. So to make sure that I'm still on track, I do turn the light pad on and off here and there just to compare my new little line art to the old one, just to remind myself what it looked like before, so that I can make sure that I'm not just recreating, you know, all the old mistakes. You know what happened to me last time if you saw this video right here. I thought I was being careful, I wasn't being careful enough, and I redrew the whole thing, and I kept the big old nasty hand anatomy from the original. We don't want to do that again. So we are going to be really careful with the anatomy on this one, okay? So far, so good. I'm loving what the line art looks like. I made it nice and tidy, nice and neat. This is just the way that I work. Not everybody's line art is gonna be super neat and tidy. It's just the way that I work, because if I don't, when it comes to inking it, I'm gonna mess up, okay? So in order to prevent myself from just completely messing up while I'm inking, I need a nice, neat line art. Okay, so please don't judge yourself if your line arts are neat and tidy. My husband's line arts are never neat and tidy, and his work is gorgeous. Look at it, girl. Excuse me, favorite artist for a reason, just saying. So just do what works for you. But mama messes up, okay? I need a neat and tidy line art, girl. So I'm super happy with how we're turning out so far. So I'm just gonna put this to the side for now, and I'm going to start working on the little additional pages that I actually wanted to create, things that I think would really help build the world a lot more for you guys and give you a better reading experience. And that's why I ended up adding 12 new pages to my manga. It doesn't change the story. It doesn't take away any scenes or some of your favorites from the original. However, I personally feel that as the writer that I am right now, I needed these pages. So here's what I did. So the first thing I did in order to really sketch out and plan out my pages was I took a piece of computer paper and I folded it in half. I've talked about this in some of my other how to make manga videos, but I typically like to do this because it represents the left side and the right side of the manga. So the little fold down the middle represents the spine, and that way I can plan out any page and think about what page goes right next to them. That way I could make sure that the 2-page spreads actually print next to each other and that everything flows really beautifully. So I really like this technique. What I wanted was to show a little bit more of the veiled. Anyone that reads my series might remember the veiled. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I really thought it was important to emphasize them a little bit more during the intro of my series, and I really wanted this panel to stick in your mind a little bit more, so that by the time you got to volume 3, you would actually remember the veiled, and these panels could actually echo each other a little bit more. So when I got to volume 3, I feel like I really was becoming the storyteller that I wanted to become, or at least the beginnings of it, because as artists we're always growing. We're going to continue to grow and challenge ourselves and develop, but I think that by volume 3 I was really becoming the artist I was hoping to become one day, or I saw a little bit of the artist I was hoping to become one day. You know what I mean? So I really wanted to bring some of that into volume 1 to make everything feel a bit more cohesive. I hope that makes sense, guys. So of course I went ahead and started sketching out these pages, and I was inking them in with my favorite quill pens and dipping pens from Japan. I actually have these available on my website for any of you who are interested in trying them out. They're imported from Japan. They're some of my absolute freaking favorites. Oh my goodness. So now that I've worked a bit more on the bonus pages, I'm going to go back to the page that I was really working hard on, which was redrawing this page right here. I began to ink this page as well. So one of the things I often tell you guys is, if you're right-handed, try your best to ink from left to right, and if you're left-handed, try your best to ink from right to left. Why? Because if you're right-handed and you're inking the right side of your paper first, you're gonna smudge your ink. Like, I don't think you guys realize it, but you'll be inking on the right and then your hand is like dragging all that ink across your paper. So I prefer that if you're right-handed, ink from the left and work your way down all the way to the right to give all your ink some time to really dry and cure. The quill that I'm using is this one right here. It's super thin and really rigid, which means it's not bouncy and it does not react that much to applying pressure. I use some other quills where if you apply a little bit of pressure, your line will become thicker, which I absolutely freaking love. However, I chose to use a more rigid quill pen that will not be affected by adding more pressure, because I wanted to keep my lines really thin and really consistent. So what I do is I take my little quill, I dip it into my ink. I do not dip it too much. I only dip it so that the quill looks like this. You just want to dip enough so that the ink actually covers that little line down the middle of the quill. You do not want to dip your quill in any deeper than that. Once you have this much ink, you can go ahead and begin inking. You do have to re-dip your quill into the ink every few minutes, but in reality, you don't have to dip it all that often. You'll know when it's time to re-dip it. Think about it like if you were painting with a paintbrush and like every few minutes you have to re-dip it into your paint to keep on painting, something like that. It really becomes a natural part of like the rhythm of when you're working with quill pens, so you really won't notice like when you have to go in and re-dip them. I absolutely freaking love them. They're fantastic. Quill pens are still a very beloved and favorite inking tool for mangakas in Japan. They are so delicious. I love them. So once I'm done inking, like always, I like to leave my artwork alone for a little while to actually dry and cure. So I'm gonna leave it alone for an hour. And during that hour is a perfect time for a puppy break. And I don't want to hear from any of you that my dog is 13 years old and isn't a puppy. He's a puppy, okay? He's a puppy in this house. Anyone who says he's not a puppy, I'm gonna fight. So let's not drag my 13-year-old dog. It's a puppy break.
What the? I don't think he likes in that box.
He loves it.
don't think so.
All right, seal us away.
No, I will not be doing that.
Seal us away.
Heck no, you nuts?
We're going to the new world.
So I hope you all enjoyed that. Now my page is completely dry and cured. So let's get to work. So we did something we don't usually ever do. At the time, it was Lunar New Year. There's like a 2-week delay left and right for everything, and nothing was gonna get here in time. And I had some deadlines. So you guys know, do everything traditionally. We toned it digitally, girl. Don't you dare gasp. Don't you dare judge me. Okay. It's all good. It's all good. It all worked out. It gave me something new to play with, and it was honestly pretty fun. So I'm gonna show you guys what I did. So maybe this will actually be really useful for a bunch of you guys. So I'm gonna show you how I actually toned this page digitally. So here we are. I went ahead and I scanned my line art at about 500 DPI because I really need the line art to be really big and crispy for the printers. I went ahead and I actually set the line art layer to multiply so that way everything but the black lines could become translucent, which will be super useful as I add some digital shadows and whatnot. I went in and added more hatching and details and black. And then I put a gray overlay over everything because unlike the original, I really want this new version to feel like he's in a dark room. Then I made his eyes glow and I added a gradient to the background and I added some white strands to his hair. Let me see if I can zoom in for you guys here. There you go. No white strandies. Here's some white strandies, you see? I'm not too worried about them being a little messy because once it's printed, it really looks a lot neater and sharper. Then I went in and added some nice shadows to everything to really intensify it. But I am gonna go in and tidy them up in just a moment. Here we are. So everything looks a little tidier now. Then I added some extra strands and some little highlights on his hair. And I think that's just about everything. Oh, I really like how it turned out. And then last but not least, of course, I went in and added a glowy speech bubble and some text. Oh my goodness. So let's do a little compare and contrast. So here's the old one. And here's the new one. Oh my goodness, I am so excited to make this a part of my manga. I'm so happy. Oh my goodness. I feel so much more confident in this volume. I've always loved volume 1. I loved all the volumes of my series, but volume 1, that was the first book I actually created ever on my own. It was the first book I actually ever got accepted into a store. Barnes & Noble's carried it and a bunch of other comic shops like Forbidden Planet and whatnot. It was the first time I ever shared my work with the world. I remember so many nights of me just crying because I was so overwhelmed and I had no guidance and no mentors and no one to help me. I was going door to door to different stores. I had to distribute on my own, but it was also worth it. And I am just so happy that I've had so many supporters over the years, so many wonderful people cosplaying as my characters and the beautiful fan art, and just so many people who felt really like connected to my characters and my story. So volume 1 is extremely important to me, and I'm just so happy that I got a chance to like update it and elevate certain parts of it so that I can share this story with a new generation of readers, God willing, you know. And all of you who have supported me for so long, you know, if you ever get a chance to take a look at the new version, I really wonder what you'll think, being that you've been seeing the old one for so long. I wonder what you'll think about the new pages. So right now, the extended version of Sacred Volume 1 is printing, guys. It's printing, it's almost here. So it's up for pre-order right now. So you are totally able to place an order, and as soon as they all arrive, I'll go and start shipping everything out. So, and of course my art book is still available. I'm just so excited to feel like an artist again. I know you guys know I took a big break for my health. So I'm just so happy to get back to what I love to do. And thank you, all of you, from the bottom of my heart for supporting what I love to do, guys. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up to let the algorithm know that you enjoyed it and it can get recommended to more people. And please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this. So until next time, guys, please take care, God bless, and do not be afraid to nerd out. Take care, guys, and see you next Thursday. Hi, baby. Oh, you're such a sweet little boy.